Hi, I'm Mike Sicinski, Healthy Living Initiative Chef Instructor here at the Food Bank in South Jersey. Today I'm going to show you how to make a turkey and black bean chili, a healthy version using a few simple ingredients. I just have a stove and I'm going to use all these ingredients that you see right here in front of me. This stock pot is already hot on the stove and I'm going to add a little bit of oil, maybe 2-3 tablespoons, just enough to coat the bottom of the pot. And then I'm going to add, I already diced up some, this is actually a Spanish onion, you can use a sweet onion too, is pretty good. And I'm going to add my onions to the pot. As well as some chopped garlic. Now I already pre-chopped this garlic, and all I did, I didn't do anything too fancy. I actually just crushed it with the side of my knife and then ran the blade of my knife through it a few times. But I have about 10 cloves of garlic. And I'm going to put this in a pot, and I'm going to let this cook for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, just until the onions get a little soft and everything starts smelling good, nice and fragrant. And then I'm going to go ahead and add both my red and green bell peppers, as well as some chopped jalapeno. So I added my onions. I let them cook for about onions and garlic, for about 3 to 5 minutes until they were kind of translucent and fragrant. And then I added both my bell peppers and my jalapeno peppers and let that cook for another additional 3 to 5 minutes until they kind of soften up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add about 2 tablespoons of just tomato paste. And then I let that cook in there with both the peppers and the onions to kind of let them all caramelize up a little bit. And then while that is getting to work there, I'm going to add a little bit of ground cumin, about 2 teaspoons of ground cumin. Maybe about a tablespoon of dried oregano. About 2 tablespoons of chili powder. And I like to add a little bit of salt at this point. You can salt again at the end, but I add a little bit of salt now for the vegetables themselves. So I'll let those spices as well as the tomato paste cook with the vegetables, maybe about another minute or two, not very long. Again, my heat is on medium-high heat, and I'm going to go ahead and add 2 pounds of ground turkey to this. Now I'm going to kind of break up the turkey with the back of my spoon here, and I'm going to make sure the turkey is cooked all the way through at this point. It could take about maybe a good 10 to 15 minutes before this gets cooked all the way through, and then after that I will add the rest of my tomato product and ingredients. Okay, so I let the turkey cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's cooked all the way through. And I'm actually going to add just 1 can of either chicken or if you had turkey broth, that would be fine. I'm going to add 1 can. I'll let that cook for just a minute. Now the reason that I chose turkey is because it's much leaner than beef. You can buy leaner ratios of your ground beef, but turkey is still much better. And I also like to add sometimes I add sausage to my chili. Now, they make a lot of turkey sausages as well as chicken sausages that would be great in this chili, which you could certainly use, and certainly are much leaner than pork sausage. So that was 1 can of low sodium chicken broth, and I have 1 can of regular just diced tomatoes, and then 1 can of tomato sauce. Now this is just plain tomato sauce. It's not packed with any basil or any other ingredients. Low sodium, and I'm going to add some of that. Let's try and make a little more room in my pot and get this all cooking together. And then I already rinsed these, but I have 1 can of black beans. I'll try and get that all mixed together as well. Now, at this point, I like to let this cook for, I would say, at least a good 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. If you could go even longer, that would be better. And if it gets a little bit too thick on you, you can always have an extra can of chicken broth on the side to help thin it out and loosen it up a little for you. So I'm going to put this stuff aside, and I have some fresh cilantro here. Now, as with all fresh herbs that I use, I like to add them closest to the end of cooking time as possible. So this is one full bunch, much more than I'll need. But I'm just going to take a nice, this will probably be maybe a good half a cup after it's chopped. I'll just run my knife through it just a few times. Alright, it doesn't have to be anything too fancy. And then after I have this up to a simmer and I let this simmer for about, like I said, about a good 45 minutes, I'm going to add my handful of fresh cilantro. Because I like it, you know, to stay nice and bright green, give you that bright flavor at the very end. And then last but not least, you can always finish with a little bit of salt and black pepper to your own personal taste.